This is season 1 of The Flash, and this is season 1 of The Arrow. Today we'll compare season 1 of both shows by comparing their plot lines, their origins, their love interests, how they kiss each other, all of that good stuff. Yeah. And hopefully after doing these comparisons, we will have the answer to which show has the better beginning, the better season 1. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the first category we're going to start off with is storyline. Let's look at our beautiful baby boy Oliver Queen and look at the Arrow season 1 storyline first. Now, Arrow season 1 starts off with Oliver returning home after being away for 5 entire years on an island called Lian. We find out that he returned from this island to right his father's wrongs and eliminate some very bad people off of his dad's notebook. And for some reason, he stops using the notebook after season 1, so but anyways, at first, that is his main goal. Keep eliminating bad people off of his father's list. But after realizing Starling City truly needed more help, he decides to take matters into his own hands and starts fighting all of the main crime in the city. Oliver Queen had become the vigilante. He ends up doing this with his newly expanded team of Diggle, an ex-military combatant, and Felicity, some IT tech blonde girl, until he comes across a man named Malcolm Merlin. Now this, ladies and gentlemen, is the main villain of season 1. We find out that Malcolm Merlin actually knew Oliver's dad and actually had him killed. He was the killer of Oliver's dad. But anyways, the reason Malcolm killed Oliver's dad is because Oliver's dad didn't want to go along with Malcolm's new plan of destroying all of the Glades, the Undertaking. As you can see, there's clearly some deep backstory, and we're only 1 season in, and many more plot twists happen in season 1. For example, Moira Queen, Oliver's mother, having a part in her own husband's death. What is wrong with you, lady? You knew your own husband died and you were just fine with... Okay. We'll talk more about the Undertaking and Malcolm Merlin in the next category, but for now, let's look at the Flash's season 1 storyline and see if it can keep up with the rich backstory of Arrow season 1. Now, in season 1 of The Flash, Barry is introduced as a forensic scientist working for the Central City Police Department. He becomes the Flash after the particle accelerator explosion goes completely wrong and it causes a freak lightning storm that strikes him. The explosion also creates a number of metahumans who we see the Flash take on as mini-villains throughout each episode, which, by the way, I have to say it's a very smart way of having mini villains. Like, that is so smart, dude. Wow. Now, the main plot of season 1 of The Flash can all be boiled down to solving the mystery of who murdered Barry's mother. This question takes the Flash and his closest friends through a manhunt on figuring out what happened the night of his mother's death. Well, ladies and gentlemen, after 15 episodes into the season, we find out that Harrison Wells, the guy that's been mentoring Barry this whole time, the guy that Barry looked up to his whole life, is the same guy that killed Barry's mother. Harrison Wells was the Reverse Flash. The guy that was closest to this Flash team was the biggest betrayer. Now, as much as I did praise the season 1 of The Arrow and how good its plotline was, the shock factor here is something else. This was so shocking the first time I watched it. It was... Eobard Thawne is Dr. Harrison Wells? We find out that Harrison Wells, aka Eobard Thawne, is a time traveler, and he built the particle accelerator for the sole reason to make Barry Allen the Flash. And he does all this so he can actually use the Flash's speed so he could travel back home. Do you see how much backstory and richness and like thinking goes in? Oh my, I can't. The rest of the season is then spent on the Flash figuring out what to do with this information, and he eventually decides, instead of going back in time to save his parents and letting Eobard Thawne win, he would sacrifice his personal happiness for the greater good. Aw, so cute! So cute! Now, when comparing both season 1 storylines, I think Arrow overall had more storylines happening at the same time. Like, for example, Tommy sleeping with Laurel, Laurel's sister Sarah maybe being alive so her mother comes back and then she's not alive. Oh, but what? And while all of these storylines truly were really good, engaging, and just kept me hooked throughout the season, The Flash did a better job of keeping me hooked using the main storyline of who killed Barry's mother. So instead of me being forced to watch multiple different storylines like Laurel and Ollie, Walter getting kidnapped, blah blah, I could focus on one main storyline of finding out who killed Barry's mother, which kept me that much more hooked. Mind you, Arrow still did have a main storyline, but it was just a little bit harder to follow along exactly. So for these reasons, even though I have so many good things to say about the Arrow, Oliver Queen, I love you, Daddy Bay, I love you. But I think the Flash wins this one. I think the Flash had a stronger season 1 storyline. 1 point for my boy Baby Barry. Yeah. Let's go, baby. Yeah. I'm like that, baby. Yeah. Now, branching off of this category beautifully into the next category, now let's talk about the origins and backstory of the main villains of these seasons. What inspired each villain to be the way they are, and which one is truly more sinister and evil? Now, starting off with the Arrow, the main villain for season 1 was Malcolm Merlyn. He was introduced as a wealthy businessman and the father of Oliver Queen's best friend, Tommy Merlyn. However, it's eventually revealed that Malcolm had a secret past as the vigilante known as the Dark Archer, who was responsible for a devastating attack on Starling City that killed hundreds of people. This attack was known as the Undertaking and was constructed by Malcolm Merlyn in order to destroy all of the Glades. Malcolm Merlyn wanted to destroy all of the Glades, the entire part of the city destroyed. Now, the reasoning behind this is because apparently he tried fixing the Glades multiple times, but the people there simply didn't want to be fixed. So he had this ideology that the best way to fix the Glades and like the bad side of the neighborhood is to completely break it down, completely destroy it to ground zero so it can be freshly rebuilt. I mean, maybe I'm evil, but like, that's not like a crazy bad idea, right? Like, who cares? Some people die here and there. Like, well, whatever, bro. We get a fresh news. No. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. Let me just continue the video. That was dumb. Yeah. Oh. Now, although Malcolm Merlyn and all of his plans and the Undertaking sound very, very evil, let me explain to you why it isn't as evil as it truly seems. Now, Malcolm Merlyn, obviously a very bad guy. Killing people is never the answer. But the reasoning behind all of these killings and why he wants to fix the Glades is actually a very noble and nice one. The reasoning, my friends, is his wife. His wife was killed in the Glades because of some gang stuff going on there, and his wife, Rebecca, was caught in the crossfire and she was killed. Therefore, obviously, he has some sort of like a bias, right? He's like kind of against the Glades because it took his wife away from him. So like, you know, he's evil. I get it, 100% evil, but like, it's not truly sinister evil villainy because he has a reason. It took away the biggest person, the most valuable person in his life, you know? Like, obviously, that's gonna make you do some crazy things. Once again, maybe you guys are gonna go in the comments right now and be like, yo, kid, you're a psycho. You're a psycho kid. And maybe, you know, maybe I am, but like, the love of his life, the person he wakes up to every day, has died because of this one place. Why wouldn't you just destroy it, you know? Like, so, for this reason, Malcolm Merlyn, the villain of season 1 Arrow, he's evil, but isn't truly an evil villain. But ladies and gentlemen, wait. Reverse Flash, on the other hand, from the Flash, that's a different story. Okay, well, it's sort of the same story, but like it's kind of different. Just let me explain. Shut the hell up, kid. Let me explain. Now, Reverse Flash is also a very evil villain that does some very bad things, like going back in time, killing Barry's mother, blah blah blah. But the difference being his reasons aren't as holy as Malcolm's were. Like I mentioned before, Reverse Flash created the Flash so he could use him to go back into his own time, right? But the entire reason he was stuck in this timeline was because he used up all of his speed to kill the Flash's mother in hopes that this would cause Barry not to become the Flash because, you know, all the sadness, all the trauma, my mom's dead, I don't want to be the Flash. Like, this guy hates this guy so much that he's gonna go kill his mother. Now that is, I don't know, I feel like that's a little bit more crazy because on the other hand, Malcolm Merlyn is doing this because, you know, his wife was killed. His wife was killed in the Glades. But Reverse Flash is only doing this because Flash is his enemy. That's literally only why. Like, what? So if we're talking about evil origins, I think the richer backstory and origins of the villain goes to Malcolm, but the actual evil villain, the person that's meant to be truly evil, I think that point goes to Reverse Flash. I think Reverse Flash is more evil than Malcolm Merlyn. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, I think the Flash gets this point. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm really trying to do this like really subjectively. I'm not trying to be biased at all, but I really think the Reverse Flash is way more evil. Like, I don't know. And I truly do think that Malcolm is one of the best CW villains out there. But comparing him to Reverse Flash as one of the main villains, it's gonna be a battle you're gonna lose. You know, you're gonna lose that battle, sweetheart. Lose, clues. But anyways, the next thing we're gonna compare between the two shows is who has the better team. But before we do that, make sure you're subscribed, okay? If you're not subscribed right now and you're watching me, what are you doing, sweetheart? Subscribe right now. Also, this isn't coming from me. Oliver Queen told me to tell you guys to subscribe. Oliver Queen said it, not me. I am Oliver Queen. Subscribe to Kosho React. Anyways, when looking at the Flash vs. Arrow, both their season 1 teams, let's start off with the Flash's team first. Now, the first member on the Flash's team is Cisco Ramon. He's characterized as a brilliant engineer and scientist who helps Barry understand and control his powers on a day-to-day basis. Typically throughout season 1, he was the guy in Barry's ear telling him specific things to do, and he was like basically like the second mentor, you know, he was like mentoring him to use his abilities. On top of that, I'd also characterize Cisco to be like the main database technology guy who can hack into databases, hack into mainframes, and overall he was the brains of each operation. The second person on his team is Caitlin Snow, and she's characterized as a bioengineering expert who assists Barry and Cisco in their work. Basically, that's fancy term for she's the healer. She heals them all up. There were many instances in season 1 where Flash would get beat up by like gorillas or like some metas, right? Some meta gun, and he would run back to Star Labs, and Caitlin would be the sole reason he was alive. She would be the sole reason he lived. Let me just tell you, Arrow doesn't have the same team like that. Arrow, he's been close to death many more times just because his team doesn't really have a healer, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, as you can see, Flash's team is pretty well rounded, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a team that can really, you know, they have a really good expertise in all range. So for those reasons, I think the Flash's team is mucho gracias, mucho muma, huh? But now let's look at the Arrow's team. The first member of Arrow's team we're going to talk about is John Diggle. He's characterized as a former military officer who started as Oliver Queen's bodyguard, but then took things personally and took accountability to save the city, and he joined the Arrow's team as a hitman. It's so harsh to say because I really do love Diggle, but so far in season 1, there really is no true use of Diggle. Besides, like, if you need an extra set of hands, if you're about to go fight someone, you take him with you. Feel free to tell me what else he does in season 1, but I just see him going to go help Arrow fight. Like, he just helps him fight. He doesn't have his own specified role that he does, you know? Now, the next person on Arrow's team is Felicity Smoke, and she is characterized as a tech expert who helps Oliver with his day-to-day mission. So basically, Felicity plays the same role that Cisco plays in The Flash. They're both just tech geniuses that can, you know, hack into things. Oh, let me get this like database stuff. Oh, hacky. But now, guys, like I said, a good team is a very well-rounded team. Tell me where there is a healer on this team. Someone that can help Arrow after he gets hurt in the field. Someone, just tell me, because it definitely is not Diggle, it definitely isn't Felicity. To be honest, I'd say he is the healer. He is basically out here healing all of his friends whenever they get hurt. He puts like this little potion thingy, he mixes, oh, drink, phew, I'm better now. That's their healer. He is his, Arrow heals himself, bro. He doesn't have a heal. How are you a billionaire and you don't have a medic? Not one. And guys, it's sad to say, but literally at one point Arrow was about to die, and then they had to call Barry Allen from Central City to come save him. So to conclude who has the better team, guys, I'm gonna have to give this one to the Flash as well. But this next category, I'm gonna have to give to the Arrow. And this category that we'll quickly touch on is the development of the Arrow team. Because like I said, Flash is, you know, better, well-rounded, but how much do we know about each team? Well, the answer to that, my friends, is Arrow crushes the Flash in this category. Crushes. We get so much backstory of the Arrow's team in season 1, and we barely get anything of like Cisco, Caitlin in season 1. Nothing. Sure, Caitlin has her moments here and there where she tells Barry, oh, you know, my husband died in the particle accelerator, and like that's like a little bit of a sprinkle of a backstory, but like we really find out about Diggle. We find out a lot. Like, oh, Carly and him have a situation going. Oh, his brother died to Deadshot. We talk about their own dating lives in season 1. That is, oh my Juju, who? Wow. That is easily a point for Arrow. Finally, take this point, Arrow. You deserve it. Yes. Okay, guys, we're gonna sum all of the points up at the end, but we still have one more category to go through. And ladies and gentlemen, this final category, the one we've all been waiting for, is love interest. But before we do that, you know, let's put on some Christmas lights because, you know, I'm trying to get, you know, I'm trying to have a little bit of fun. This time I won't dance because I think I danced like the past 2 videos. And make sure if you have any friends that, you know, watch The Flash or Arrow, make sure you share my channel, sweethearts. Sweet pumpkin pies. Make sure you do it. Thanks, baby girl. You know I love you. You like my necklace? I put it on for you. The Flash versus the Arrow. Which one has the better love interest in season 1? Let's find out. Now in this category, we'll compare both love interests at the exact same time. Now here we can start off this comparison by using one really essential important statement. Laurel fell in love with Oliver and Arrow. Iris fell in love with the Flash and then Barry. Let me say it one more time. Laurel fell in love with Oliver and Arrow. Iris fell in love with the Flash, then Barry. Because in season 1, the girls don't know the real person, right? So what I'm saying is Laurel actually loved Oliver for who he was. Iris didn't. Iris really didn't until she found out he could be fast. Like, what are we doing here, guys? What are we doing here? Now, building further onto their relationship dynamics, when the Arrow first started, there was already a clear relationship between Ollie and Laurel, and unlike the Flash, it was actually two-sided, you know? Both sides actually loved each other. It definitely wasn't anything like Barry being in love with Iris and then Iris being in love with someone else. It was more of like a two-way relationship. Ollie and Laurel both had other relationships in the first season, but as soon as these other people disappeared, this happened. This happened every single time. Plus, I think Laurel and Ollie just have a more realistic relationship, which makes it easier for us as viewers to relate to. We see that Laurel is super hesitant to get too deep with Oliver because like she thinks he's keeping too many secrets, and he doesn't want to get with her because it would be like too risky for her safety. She can't know the real him. He doesn't want to lie to her, blah blah blah. But yeah, these are true natural reasonings of why they can't be together, and it's truly beautiful to see how bad they still want to be with each other deep down regardless of all of these issues. While on the other hand, when looking at the Flash, there isn't any of this realism involved. I will admit it is cute seeing like Barry go after a girl he can never get and then finally get her, but when I'm talking about like actual relationship and realism, Arrow wins, easy. On top of that, Barry has had a crush on Iris since they were very little, but they never actually had a very strong foundation beforehand. On top of that, like I mentioned before, the relationship is very one-sided. Barry slobbering all over Iris while she's just like, hey friend, hey buddy, you're my best friend. While with Laurel and Ollie, Laurel is literally like, oh, I know like you cheated on me with my own sister and I'm dating Tommy, but I still love you. The heart wants what it wants. I love you. Like it's so like, ooh. Plus, things didn't even get serious for Barry and Iris until she found out that he's the Flash. Does this girl even love Barry Allen? Not the Flash. Does she even love Barry Allen? Our human friend Barry. What? What are we doing here? Now, don't get it mistaken. I still really love the love interest between Barry and Iris, and I think it's one of the best. But comparing it to Laurel and Ollie, I think Laurel and Ollie still win. I think they still do win. So ladies and gentlemen, as a conclusion, the better love interest in season 1 is Arrow's. And that is one more point for Arrow, putting him at a solid 2 points compared to the Flash's. Drum roll please. Clap. 3 points. Dang, Flash has won! Flash has won 3-2. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to feel super happy about this, guys, or super sad, because I love the Flash, as you guys know. But for the first time ever, I watched the Arrow like 2 weeks ago, and I've been hooked since. Like, this is my first time ever watching the show ever, and I've been loving it, you know? So like, I kind of wanted the Arrow to win too. Okay, but let me stop my rambling. For all of the reasons we discussed today, for all the categories we talked about, the better CW show between the Flash and Arrow in season 1 is The Flash.